Hello and welcome to the How To Plumbing channel. My name is Claude Taylor. For those of you that know me, welcome back. Those that don't, I hope you enjoy the video. And if you do, become a subscriber and give it a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay, let me give you a little story on this house here. It was flooded, caught in a flood uh, in April 2016, and now the home is being renovated. Um, and of course, my part is to change out the plumbing. And what we're going to do here is we don't have any walls, ceilings, so this is great. Makes it a lot easier. So I decided that I'm going to come through here and we're going to run PEX pipe. Just giving you a overview and showing you what we got in here. This wall right here, that's going to be the kitchen wall with the sinks. And then we slowly walk back here. There's a room there. And this little spot here this was where a bathroom is, and that bathroom's going to go right back. This is where the toilet and all the junk you see down there, don't let that fool you. There's stuff up under it blocking it from getting into the drain. This here is going to be the shower wall. And let's see what we got here. We're walking into, this was the master bathroom, master bedroom. And in here we will be running new PEX pipes. We won't be installing any new drainage pipes, but we will be connecting to them. Right here we'll have a hot and cold PEX line coming down to catch the hot and cold water. And over in that corner there's the toilet. Okay, this one we need to put something down there. The old galvanized plumbing was in here, but I came through here and ripped all of that out. This is going to be another tub and shower. There's the drain. We need to plug that up. So we're not on the job site now. Actually, we're back at another location, and I am going to prepare the tub and shower valves here and make them up so they'll be prefabbed. So when I take them over to the job site we're working, I can just set them in place. So what we're going to do here is just going to put two tub and shower valves together. And just showing you the tubing cutter. If you what you seen just there is I turned the light on to it. You can look through a little window that they have, and I can see the mark right there on my pipe through that little window. And we just cut it out. It's really handy when hey, where you come from? Get out of here. Okay, now this is the tub and shower valve. This is a PEX tub and shower valve. Two of the ends, the shower end where the shower head comes out, and the spout where the water comes out the bottom part. Those ends will be soldered in with copper pipe, and you can see on the right there at the right hand side right there, that PEX fitting type. Okay, it's going to be PEX, and the type of PEX that we're going to use is Ubonor, also known as Wurzbo. This cover here that I'm just showing you there, that's going to go back on there. And this is a mowing. tub and shower valve posi temp. This is probably the most easiest tub and shower valve that you can work with. I mean, I don't know a plumber that doesn't go and install these. This is the cartridge that we're pulling out, and everything is being taken apart on the tub and shower valve so that when we go put the heat in soldering and sweating the copper and brass together, we don't melt the washers like you see right here, that washer right there, all that stuff. We put too much heat and apply too much heat, we could damage that. So we're going to take all that out. And the part right there, these are called the stops. Stops meaning the cutoffs. These are the cutoffs to the tub and shower valve. So with these, you don't have to cut the water off to the entire house. You can just cut it right there and change the cartridge if that's needed. And of course here we're going to just clean these fittings up. We're always going to clean the brass fittings and copper fittings up before we solder or sweat any pipe together and put any flux in there. And the caps, they're going to go on to the tub and shower now, but eventually they're going to be cut off of there. But just for now, we're putting them on there so that we put them in place, cut the water on, and we have something to stop the water while it's on, and we're testing the system. And well, you can't really see the cutter right now, but these are nice and handy. And I know everyone's not going to run out and purchases unless they do quite a few jobs like I myself do. But they are handy, and yes, you can go out and buy the manual small cutters. They're just as effective. It's just that these are a little faster. And I'm just using a little sand cloth here to clean the pipe up. And this is the flux that we're going to use, the Ote, made by Ote. This is not advertising for them, but that's really the only flux I actually use is made by Ote. And what I like to do once I do put the fittings together after they're all fluxed up and together is take a rag or a paper towel and just clean the excess flux that's around the edges of the fittings and the pipe. It makes for a nice, neat solder connection, solder well. And what I'm doing here with these channel lock pliers is I'm kind of egg shaping the pipe fitting and the pipe itself so that when I do go twist that pipe, it locks in place. So when I do go to solder it or move it around, the pipe won't fall out of the fitting. It's jammed in there pretty good with the egg shaped. And here's the my rag that I'm used to wipe it, clean it up. And by the way, this is probably the most soldering, copper pipe soldering that's going to be done on this job site. Other than that, everything's going to be PEX. But there are areas where you'll see copper, and this will be one of them. And then you'll see galvanized pipe on the stub outs. I'll show you those later and throughout the video. Galvanized stubs out. It's because we want some type of pipe. Again, here you see me egg shaping it before I put it into the valve. And now when I put it into the valve, it's going to squeeze in there tightly and it's going to stay in place. See how tight that is? Okay. And back to the galvanized pipe that we'll be using and the copper, and we're only using those in strategic areas where we need stability. PEX pipe is great, but it's not a pipe that you want to use when stubbing out where valves and stuff like that needs to be cut off and on, because you don't want the whole pipe moving. You want it stable. So that's where the hard rigid pipe like this comes in play. And this particular gas that I'm using with this torch kit here is propane that you can pick up in any hardware store, just about any hardware store. And I do have two sets. This is a smaller set that I use for small jobs like this, and then I have another one that's acetylene, and it's a much larger tank because it's something that you can use and would go all day. And if you would like to learn how to solder copper pipe, I also have plenty of videos on how to solder copper pipe here on YouTube. And now that you see me applying the heat to the brass valve and the copper pipe, you can see how it would be it could be an issue with the rubber washers or cartridge getting melted. If not totally melted, it would get it to a degree where it would probably damage it. So the safest thing to do is take them out. And you really can't hear me. I mean, you really can't see what I'm doing right now. But what I'm doing is I'm taking the other tub and shower valve. I'm taking it apart as I let this here cool down a little bit before we start moving it around. Okay, we don't really have a workbench or anything like that here to to work off. So we're gonna improvise and make something where we can set this a little stable and go ahead and solder this cap on here. It's not gonna take much. And this is the, I guess you would call it the guide to guide you when someone is putting the drywall back up on the wall and up over this, or the Duro Rock cement board. This is a guideline, and it will keep you right where you need to be, so that you're not too far back in the wall or too far out. You just use this as a guide. Okay, here it is, set up all in place, nothing to it. Everything's put back together. We even have the shower head L. Okay, now we're here. We're here back on the job site, and in this box we have the Monoblock. These are the fittings to the Monoblocks, which we're going to use to connect the pipes to the Monoblock. These are the templates of, letting us know the locations of the hot and cold, and what particular fixtures is going to be tied in which particular spot. And though that's another template to cut holes for the Monoblock here, so the pipes can run through. This is the large manifold block. This is where all the water from the outside coming into the house will go into there, and from there all the water will be distributed throughout the house, from here to the kitchen sinks, the lab sinks, tubs, showers, toilet, laundry, etc. And this is how it's made up. Hard, durable plastic ABS piping. And you can see the big red key right there. That's the key. That's where you turn each individual valve off or on. The red valve right there that you're looking at to the left side, there's two of them right there. Those are valves to cut the water off. There's blue ones on the other side, and that key is used to cut those off and on. And they did send two of them. One is attached to the Monoblock in case a customer has an emergency. They can run out to their garage or wherever the Monoblock is and grab that key and cut the water off to any particular fixture that might be leaking or maybe having a problem. Okay, what we're doing here now is we're just kind of sizing it up and just getting an idea of where a good location would be for this Monoblocks. So this looked like a pretty good spot right here. So but we're gonna get this board right here out the way. And usually the easiest way to remove 2x4s in a location like this is not to take a hammer and slam it and knock it out the way. What I'm doing here is I'm using a small reciprocating saw, and I am just cutting the nails, just the nails from up under it. And once I cut the nails, I can just knock it out of place without damaging more than we need to damage. You see right there, it comes right out now. So now we'll just pull this out our way. And I'm going to use this piece over again. I'm going to use it as a backing. Backing mean a brace. It's just going to be a brace for the new manifold that's going in here. Again, here's the manifold. And this is the manifold. This is the bracket that we're going to attach the manifold to. And once we get that attached to that, our backing that we are going to make up, we are going to attach this Monoblock to that, and that'll keep it nice and stabilized. And when I ordered this Monoblock, it came with everything I need. Now there are like 2 to 3 different types of Monoblocks. This particular Monoblock, it's useful for the type of PEX pipe that I'm using. It'll work with basically any PEX pipe, but I'm using Wurzbow. So there are Monoblocks that they make that will not work with Wurzbow tubing, but this particular one will because it is compression fittings. So all we're going to do is push the pipe into the fitting, and it's going to be compressed and tightened down, which you can use any pipe for that. Ubonor does make their own Monoblock system. It's nothing like this. I think this is probably one of the best Monoblocks that I've seen out there. It's more organized and it's a lot neater and easier to work with. I mean, Ubonor has a nice one that's made of copper tubing, but it's not as convenient as this, I feel, as this particular Monoblock here. So I went with this Monoblock this time. I did another video previous to this where I didn't use any Monoblock. I just actually made up my own distribution box, and I'll leave a description of that video, or a link to that video, in the descriptions below. Okay, now that's going to look pretty good right there. Look like it's going to be nice and even. And you've seen all the stub outs. Stub outs meaning the parts that are coming out the side of the Monoblock. All these holes should pretty much line up with all of those, making it easy to run the pipe through here and attach it to the Monoblock. In case you're interested, the drill bit that I'm using is 1.25 inches, because the PEX pipe is going to be 3/4 inch, but the outside diameter of that is going to be 7 1/8. So we don't want too much play, and we don't want one or too tight. So the 1.25 inch just happens to work out just right. I mean the 1/2 inch pipe. Now you can see we have the Monoblock in place where we need it and where we want it. And I do apologize for the lighting. This is probably the best we can do right now, because all the electric in this house is cut off right now, and We've got the garage door open, giving us plenty of light until we get into little dark corners. And now we've got it here, and I'm just kind of sizing it up because we're going to drill some more holes up at the top where the 3/4 inch lines will be coming into the Monoblock. And I'm just getting a measurement off of that board. From, as plumbers, we use center marks. So from the edge of that board in that corner over there, the center is 15 and what was that, 15 and a half, 15 3/4. So we want to line that up as close as we can to the part of the pipe that's coming out at the top here. And this drill bit here is this is 1.5 inches. And if you're wondering, this is an impact wrench that I'm using to drill this hole. It makes it a little easier than a regular drill. Okay, now we've got that done, and we're back over here at the in the master bedroom where we have the master bath, and we're gonna get something going on over here. Okay. Now what you see me doing here is I'm going to screw this. Is Pex drop-eared 90 is what they call it. They also make it for copper pipe, and they're still a drop-eared 90, but this is a drop-eared 90 Pex fitting. And the carpenters put on the siding of the house, they put plywood, which is good. It works out great for me. There's brick on the other side of this. I think a lot of people out there, especially some of you that have Pex pipe in your home already, could appreciate why I am using this hard rigid pipe here, because I know the systems that they have in a lot of the homes, new homes that they're building, they're just stubbing the Pex pipe right out the wall, outside the wall, and there's no nothing rigid about it. It's just so loose, and it just looks scary. So when you go to reach up under there to cut a valve off, it's kind of nerve-wracking. But here, when you reach up under your sink, you'll have a nice, sturdy, strong pipe where you can turn the water off and on, and if there's any issues, It's easier to replace that valve or work on any faucet up under your sink, as long as you have a nice sturdy cutoff valve and a sturdy piece of pipe coming out the wall. And a lot of the new homes that they're building today, depending on where you live, they're using a lot. I notice I run into it a lot. They're using a lot of Zern PEX fittings and PEX pipe. Yes, there is a difference. It's PEX, but the difference between the Zern and the Ubonor, which I'm using here, this is Ubonor, is the opening of the fitting. If you look at the wing 90 there, the opening at the top, that is a true half-inch opening. It's the same size opening as the pipe itself. Whereas the Zern, the opening is just a little smaller than that half-inch. And a lot of inspectors do, you know, they kind of frown up on that smaller opening. So this is, I would say this is probably the more preferred pipe to use to be on the safe side with the inspector than the Zern. Not to say the Zern's bad pipe, it's just that the opening. And the biggest thing that we find out in plumbing is we need a we want to limit water restriction in any pipe. Not too many turns, not too many small areas to fit in. And right here we're going to this is where we're going to hang our tub and shower valve. Before we can hang it here, we need to put our brace up, something to screw the wing-eared or drop-eared elbow to. And this is the slot where the tub and shower valve is going to go. And that's our backing for it. Again, backing, brace, same thing. And whenever you're installing a new tub and shower valve, any renovation or any new home, you always want to set it at 6'6" from the ground to the center of that pipe right there. So this is 6'6" from the ground. And if you're a tall person, you can appreciate it. When you go to take a shower, if that shower head is too low, I know it's frustrating. I'm not that tall myself, but it's frustrating. And 6'6" is the most standard height for most people. Or should I say, the most comfortable height. And we're going to put another brace right back here, another piece of backing to brace the valve itself. And that plastic covering on the tub and shower valve right there, you want to leave it on until it's time to install the trim to the tub and shower valve, because the purpose it serves now is to guide the guys that are going to put the drywall and the backer board up to make sure that they don't so to make sure that they line it up and it's protruding out far enough, because you don't want it sitting back too far on the wall. If that's the case, you would have issues putting the trim work on there. And trust me, you just don't want, you want to make it as close as you can to where you need to go. And this little backing, this is something that I made up. I just took a piece of 2x4 and notched a piece out about the size of the valve itself, which I probably should have opened a little more, which I will, the notch, because the PEX fitting is sitting kind of back too far, but we'll take care of that later. But for now, we're going to get this mounted and anchored down. And while I'm thinking about it, it's also just a reminder that when you're working on a bathroom and you're going to install a new tub and shower valve, also you're going to install a new tub. So the tub always goes in before the drywall or any door rock goes on the wall, because the tubs have lips on them, and the drywall and the towel just comes right over that lip. And also, tubs come in right hand and left hand. I ran into quite a few people that went out and bought a left hand tub, not understanding that there is a left and a right hand tub, only to get it to their house to find out they have the wrong tub. So keep that in mind, that if you're going to do any renovation, know if you have a left or right hand tub. And if I was facing the tub and the cutoff valve was to my right hand, that would indicate that that is a right hand tub. Vice versa the left. You can see on the right hand side where the piece of PEX of the shower valve is coming out, it's just about to touch that piece of wood. So later throughout the video, I'll come back and I'm gonna chop off a piece of that so that that PEX pipe will come in there without being jammed up in there. And what I usually do after I do, use screws like this, it's going to protrude out from the back side. So once I'm done screwing it down, I just take a pair of channel lock pliers and I will just break off the back end of it real easy, and it'll be nice and flush with the board after that. And again, we want to keep this on. This is the guide for the drywallers and the tilers to know where they're at and things are done properly. And another thing that I see that's really kind of frustrating is that once these are in place, I've gone to homes where the whoever installed the tub and shower valve, you can see right there, they see that angle. If you have half-inch drywall, then the towel, it comes out just right. But anyway, they have that shield on there, and that bracing and the shield, they leave it on there. So when you go to pull it off, you have to fight to get the thing off of there so that you can get access to the tub and shower valve. Well, anyway, here we are. This is the main water coming into the house. We're on the side of the garage. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this section out, and we're going to come back with new galvanized pipe. We're still going to use some galvanized pipes, just enough right here to make it nice and rigid and sturdy, so that when you go outside, cut that valve off and on, you have a nice sturdy piece of pipe to hang on to. And I do have a video. This pipe that's coming up from the ground. I actually did a video on that where I ran new PEX pipe from that valve all the way to the water meter. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below also. This is a 3/4 by 3/4 by half T. The 1/2 inch is going to be for the outside faucet, where, you know, in case you want to water the grass or something. And this is the old spigot that was on here, so we're going to put that back on for now. And not only is the water off to the valve right there, it's off to at the meter right now. After the flood, they cut a lot of the water off to the homes around here. Yeah, we're back to manifold, and all of the work you just see me do is in preparation to run the main cold water line over to the to here. But first, what we're going to do, of course, we're using red, and red is always an indication of hot. But this red is going to go from the Monoblock over to where the hot water heater is going to be. which is near the kitchen area. It will be back to back. The water heater will be outside in the garage, as well as the laundry. And on the back wall, those are the holes that I cut for the hot water heater. And we're going to pull this through. And of course, hot is always on the left hand side. So we're going to pull the hot through for the water heater. And again, this wall is a back-to-back wall, back-to-back from the we've got the kitchen sink, ice maker, and dishwasher all on one side. And on this side, the outside where the garage is, we have the laundry and water heater itself. And this is the pipe going over to that area where the water heater is going to be. And it is the line is up high because the water heater, we will set it on a stand, an 18-inch stand, so it will stand up a lot taller. And this will tie into the Monoblock. The one thing about PEX pipe, you do want flexibility in it, so you don't want to stretch it too tight because you want it to be able to expand and contract, because that's what it's going to do throughout the course of the life of the pipe itself. And here are some more lines that we ran, and this is a 1/2 inch, and here's the 3/4 inch coal for the hot water heater. And if you ever see an electrician run wires, that's basically basically the same thing we're doing here, just like it's running wires. And a Monoblock is just like a fuse box, where all the fuses and all the electric come from your house into that box and distribute it from there. The same thing, same principle. Okay, now pull the. So I'll pull another one. Yeah, pull kitchen sink. Now, can you see me good? And what you see, see me hammering on here right now is the Anker, and these are called talons. They're very popular with the PEX system. You can also use it for copper pipe. Any pipe that has the outside diameter of 5/8. And if you're going to, run PEX pipe, a second hand wouldn't be bad. Having someone giving you a second hand helping you out. I got a few anchors in the rest.
So what was that right there?
Kitchen sink. Yeah, I run another. So that's the dishwasher. Oh, I got 3. And once the once we have this PEX pipe in place and the house is being used and water is constantly being used, this PEX pipe will begin to relax, and it will relax, and it won't be bunched up like you see it now. It'll be in more of a relaxed state. And of course that red one right there, we're going to need to pull that a little tighter.
This one ain't gonna be fun. This is a long one.
And you notice here's the PEX pipe coiled up, and we're leaving it in the package, and it unravels as we pull it out. You don't want to make a mistake, and I've done this myself, is I've taken it all out of the package, and
That's good.
once you do that, the pipe is everywhere, and it's really hard to work with. This is the easiest way to work with the PEX pipe, is to keep it into the packaging and pull it out as you need it. Okay, what we have here, we have a laundry box equipped with laundry valves, hot and cold water. It's copper sweat connection. So what we're going to do, we're not going to run it to copper pipe, and it's not a PEX system. You can buy, and this is of course is the ice maker. You can buy them to where they already have a PEX connection at the end of it. So happen these don't, so we're going to use a 1/2 inch copper to PEX sweat adapter, and we're going to solder that on to the right there. We're going to solder that onto that piece of brass right there, and now we can convert it from sweat pipe to PEX pipe. And we're going to do the same thing with the laundry. And again, we left the job site and we're here in the garage. We're going to piece this together so that when the next day comes and we have a chance, we go back over there and install it. A lot of this work is not done on the job site because I do have a regular job, and I am going back and forth from that job and doing it when I can get over there. But I am going to have to move a little faster because the other contractors, they are kind of moving pretty fast, and I need to keep up with them. So this helps me stay a little ahead of the game, so when I'm at home, I can come home and do this stuff. And this is the laundry bags again, and what I just showed you is you see the 3 outlets. You could use them for either or meaning you could use them for the valve itself like we're doing here, or we can use that same slot that we just put the valve in, we can use it for the drain. So those valves can be used in any one of these holes, and the drain itself can be used in any one of these holes. It depends on the configuration of the plumbing, and that's what makes it so convenient. It's what you call universal. It's a universal laundry box, and this one will be used in the upside down position, and you can see there's another 2-inch you can't see right now, there's another 2-inch opening that we're going to connect to the drain rather than the 3 on top. So the one in the middle will use the blank cap that we're going to use to cover that one up. And again, here is the connector. This is a transition fitting. They call it a transition fitting because it transitions from copper or brass to PEX pipe system. And right here we have, this is, I carry this all the time on my van. This is just a little toolbox that I keep a lot of my copper tools in, where you know, copper cutters, sweater, flux, solder, stuff like that. It helps, keeps it a little more organized. I know it looks a little junky right now, but this it comes in handy. And this is what I use for the bigger system when I'm running a lot of copper, probably all day long, and I use a lot bigger tank. This is the small one that I use for small jobs like this. This is the propane bottle that you can get from any hardware, and of course this is the torch setup that we use, and I like it because you don't need a striker. You just click the button and there you go, you got your fire. And you also have the other button in case you don't want to have to hold it down. You can hit that button and it'll automatically hold it itself. And it leaves your other hand free to use the solder. And this is the solder that we're going to use. This is lead-free solder. Also, you can, some people might call it 95.5. Back in the day, we used to use 50-50, but now they know the damage with lead could do to you, so it's been eliminated. And this is the flux that we're going to use, and my flux brush. And I usually just after I open it up and haven't used it in a while, I kind of just stir it up, kind of mix it back up, get it going. And again, I do have other videos out there in case you're interested in learning how to solder copper pipe. I have plenty of how to solder copper pipes videos on YouTube. You can just type in my name, Claude Taylor, or just type in how to plumbing, and it will pull all my videos right up. And it is important that you clean all the fittings for the brass and the copper before putting any flux on there. I always brush the end of the fitting with the wire brush because I also want the flux to get into that, and the solder. I want it to get as much solder on there as I can without flooding the pipe and cutting off circulation. But we do want a nice solder connection. Again, you can buy this laundry box with the valves and the adapter already on there. just so happened we just had this one laying around, so hey, let's just go ahead and convert it to Pex and use it. And you notice how I solder the two connections together, that the I'm never trying to aim the fire towards the the plastic box. I'm constantly having the fire facing the opposite direction of the plastic pipe, so that we don't take any chances of melt that or do any damage to it. And the setting we have here is a true setting. I mean, when you're on a job site, you don't have the time or the availability of brackets and things that you need, that you would like to have to hold your pipe steady, or the fitting that you're working on steady. So here you just have to improvise. And I'm just using my little toolbox and just setting it and lightly soldering it. But if you feel you need to have some type of brace or vise, I mean, that's great. Go ahead, go for it. And it's another day, and we're back on the job site. And this is the laundry box that you see me working with in the garage, all put together, and we're going to put it in place now. course, the water lines will be coming from the top. And again, as a reminder, the red valve is for hot, the blue is for cold, and hot's always on the left, cold's always on the right. And here we are on the far east side end of the house, where I am going to make a hole in this brick, and I'm using a chisel, and you can buy this chisel at almost any hardware store. And this hole here is going to be for the outside faucet. You can go out and rent a hammer drill and cut this hole, but if you're going to do it a lot, it's probably worth it. But if you're not going to do it as much, this is probably the best and easiest way to go ahead and attack it and save your money in renting the hammer drill. And all I need to do is make it big enough to get a 1/2 inch piece of galvanized pipe in here, and once I make this opening right behind it, you can see the 2x4s. I don't know if you can see it real good, but the 2x4, and what we're going to do here is we're going to take a drill and we're going to drill through that 2x4 so that when we put the galvanized pipe in, it's going to go straight into where we need it and where we can connect to the PEX pipe system. And again, using galvanized pipe, making this spot right here nice and sturdy for cutting off and on water or any repairs that may need to be made. And some people do like to hang their water hose on the outside faucet. This will make it nice and sturdy, so this just doesn't come loose. And what you see on the end of this drill, you see the, of course, you see the drill bit itself, but the drill bit is attached to an extension. The drill bit is not actually that long, and you can also get that extension by that extension. As long as you want. So happened, I got lucky and just enough of a drill bit to make it to where I need to, and here it is on the other side. It got stuck in there, so we're just gonna grab our channel lock pliers and just pull this out because we got the hole that we need. And now we can run our galvanized pipe straight through here and attach it to this end with the PEX pipe. And remember, I'm on the outside just pushing this piece in, and I'm leaving the safety cover, the threads, to keep the threads from getting banged up, so that we can thread an elbow on the end. And that hole end up being a little off, so I had to make the hole a little oval shape to get the galvanized pipe to fit in there. Again, here we're on the outside. And the other hole that you're seeing right next to that one, that hole's been there, and that's the hole for the heating and cooling system. The refrigerant lines will be running through there. Some of you call it, well, refrigerant lines. And this is just a random piece that I bought at Home Depot. It's about 2.5, 3 feet long. I'm not sure. I don't remember. but it's long enough to reach where I need it to, so that I can tie onto the other end with the PEX pipe and have the other end protruding out to the outside where we can put the outside faucet. And again, this is another one of the old one that was on here. So we're just going to put that back on here for now, because when we come back, we're going to install new ones, and also we're going to install the siphoning devices on the ends of the valve spouts. And now this is back on the west side of the house. This is, if you remember, when I started working on the main water coming into the house. So again, I bought a piece of pre-cut galvanized pipe from the hardware store, Home Depot. Just long enough to make it in there where I can catch on to it with an elbow, and I think this piece is 11 inches long. I don't remember, but I remember measuring it, but it's been a while. But it's in there, and it's going to reach just to where we need it. And what I need to do is try to get it started from here on the outside here and go ahead and tighten it out here. And the water that you hear running is from the house next door. One of the guys that's doing some painting is cleaning his brushes. And we're back on the inside, and this is where the 90 gonna go, and that 90 will now back at the Monoblock. These are the stickers indicating what that line is going to. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that was one of the laundry stickers, and that was the hot going to the laundry, I believe. And what I've done here is I put a cover over the Monoblock, so when I left in the evening, or when I left from working there, I put it over the Monoblock so it'd be protected in case any of the workers came through and didn't want anything to fall on it, anyone to run into it and just, you know, break it or anything. So now we've got it uncovered, and here, that's better lighting. And to show you the compression fittings, and again, when you buy the Monoblock, all of these fittings will come with the Monoblock itself. this is the tool that we use to this didn't come with the box. I had to order this separate. This is made just for these fittings right here to tighten it down. And the cutters that I'm using here, you can purchase at just about any hardware store. And again, all these fittings come with the Monoblock itself. And they can be used with any type of PEX plumbing pipe or plumbing tubing. This is the ferrule. This ferrule, as a matter of fact, the blue one that I did below this one, I forgot to put it on there, so I took it back off and I did put that ferrule on there. And all of these are compression fittings. You can see how once it gets in there and you compress the fittings together, it's going to be a nice tight fit. And what I've done is I tightened it as tight as I could. Well, I wouldn't say as tight as I could, but as tight as I felt comfortable with before turning the water on. So when I got it nice and tight, I turned the water on to the building. And then I just, if there was any tweaking needed to be done, I did it then. And again, this is the tool that they make for it. And it doesn't come with the Monoblock. You have to order it separately. And that's going to be repeated on and on the Monoblock. And we're going to focus on the supply to the hot water line right here. This is a okay. Again, this is a drop ear 90, but this one here is 3/4 inch because there's 3/4 inch that goes into the home water heater. You can see on that piece of wood I'm right at a knot, and a knot is usually hard to kind of either cut or run a screw through. And these are the 3/4 inch galvanized nipples that we will be tying into the water heater once the wall is up and the water heater's in. And right now we're just setting it there temporarily, because normally we would put some type of Teflon tape or pipe dope on there. And you could see how that would make it nice and sturdy. And here we are using the Pex expander tool. We're really not getting a good visual here, but we'll have plenty. We've got plenty more to do. You'll see it. And if you do decide to buy some Pex pipe, make sure that you get the Ubonor Pex pipe. I wouldn't recommend using this expander tool with any other type of Pex tubing. Some of them are a little more rigid. I just wouldn't recommend it. I actually don't use them, so. But I noticed the texture and the pipes are different, and I don't know if they expand as well. But keep in mind, Ubonor pipe, and if you're going to use this tool, use Ubonor pipe. Now these pieces of these galvanized pieces that I'm putting in, the nipples, I'm just going to screw it in so tight, and that's about it. And we're going to leave the opening. We're not going to cap it, because I'm going to use a flex line from one to the other to make a complete connection, as if the water heater was in place, but it's not, just so that I can use that to test out the water piping and make sure that there's no leaks, without waiting to have the water heater in place, because we want to check it before any walls or anything is put up. And another great thing about running this Ubonor Pex tubing is that all your fittings, the weakest connection to any pipe or a chain, the weakest connection is going to be at a connection. So there's no connections in the attic itself when the pipes run across the ceiling. All the connections are down below where you have access to them. So if you're going to have any issues, usually it's going to be at the connections. But with this pipe here, I haven't experienced it. So, and here we're back on the other side of the where the water heater is. This is going to be the kitchen area. So we're going to put our drop-eared 90s here, 1/2 inch again. We're going to use 3 for the kitchen sink, and that is because one hot, one cold to the faucet, and then we have another hot that's going to go to the dishwasher. But they're all going to come out from up under the cabinet, right next to each other. And this is just another piece of backing that I made up to hang the drop air 90s to, so that we can stabilize our pipe and have some stability. And of course, this one here is going to be for the dishwasher. And just keeping it a little bit away from the sink stub outs. Now all we have to do is bring our PEX pipe down to these fittings, and that's it. Connect them. That's a lot easier than when we did it back in the day, when we did it in copper and galvanized or any other pipe. It's much easier. And the color coding makes it very easy also, because there are times that plumbers, including myself, we've crossed pipe. The hot and the cold, but this makes it very difficult to kind of cross the pipes. We know that the red's for hot and blue's for cold, so it's kind of hard to mix them. I mean, it's possible, but hardly. I had a guy ask me on a video why, if you're taking the galvanized pipe out, why would you put galvanized pipe in? Which is a good question, but my response is I'm not replacing the old galvanized with old galvanized. I'm replacing it with new galvanized. So there's nothing wrong with new galvanized pipe. I mean, if you sit here and imagine trying to run this whole house with galvanized pipe right now, you know it would be very labor intense. But if we're running with the PEX pipe, it's a lot easier, and I am using the galvanized only where it's necessary to make it sturdy. So there's nothing wrong with the galvanized pipe as long as it's new galvanized pipe. And I don't put the cutoff valves on just yet because for many reasons. I'll give you that reason in a second. I'm taking that off because it doesn't have a stop on it. I want one with a stop so it doesn't rise up on the pipe itself, and a stop means there's a little ridge in there that keeps it from pushing it back up on the pipe. And you see how the expander works. It expands the pipe, and at the same time it's expanding it. You can notice it makes turns, and that helps it. And there you go. Bam, we're done. If we would have done this in completely in galvanized or copper pipe, this would be a little time consuming. Get out the way. And again, back to the caps that I have on the end of these. I have the caps on there and not the valves, because once they drywall, tape, and float, paint, all that stuff will get on the valves. And not only that, it makes it a little harder for the drywaller to cut his holes and make it nice and neat. So therefore, we cap it. And we'll come back later, uncap it, and put the cutoff valves on there. And here we are again. This is for the, what is that? The dishwasher. This is the hot for the dishwasher. And that's going to be the hot for the kitchen sink, etc. So these little tags come in these are very handy. If you have a box like this and you need a plumber to come to your house and come to work, let them know where this box is. This will save you some time and some money, so he don't have to search around. And it'd be very convenient and cut time down. You don't have to cut it off to the whole house. Or she, sorry. You can see how easy this Monoblock is to work with, and connecting these Pex pipes to it. And again, Ubonor, they do have their own Monoblock. This is not an Ubonor Monoblock. This is I'm actually not sure who makes this one, but they have 3 different types, and this particular one is just perfect for what I need right now, going to the Ubonor Pex piping. So if you're going to get a Monoblock, make sure you get the right one, because they all look just alike. If you don't look at them closely, you're gonna grab the wrong one. So make sure that you get one that looks like this with the compression fittings, and not the fittings that are already made up for Zern plumbing system. And this is the hot. This is the cold, actually. Well, this is the hot coming in from the hot water heater going into the Monoblock, which will feed that left-hand side of all the hot lines from the water heater. And if you're going to use channel lock pliers or anything to tighten this down, you don't want it too tight, just snug enough, because it does have the O-rings where you don't have to really crank down on that. This is the adapter to the Monoblock from the compression from the Pex pipe, the Ubonor Pex pipe. And what we're doing here, it's going to be a compression fitting. Again, any pipe would work with this. Any copper pipe, any other Pex pipe, or Zern pipe, or even CPVC. By the way, I'm not a strong CPVC type of person. I really just don't care for it myself. Now you see that paint that's scraped off of that red there? You're going to see just why that paint, that little covering was scraped off, because when you fit this piece on here with the ferrule, it's a ferrule inside of it, a little brass ring. It's just snug enough just to get over the pipe, and it's going to scrape a little bit, but there's no harm done. Pipe's still very effective and won't leak. And on compression fittings, pipe dope or pipe compound is not recommended on to use on compression fittings. Most compression fittings are a nice dry fit, and we let the ferrule and the compression do the work itself. And whenever you're going to thread any kind of connection to plastic piping, be very cautious. Plastic is very easy to cross thread. And you notice I kept going back and forth, back and forth. I went back and forth, and then eventually you feel that groove that it fits right in, then you go for it. But if you don't feel it, if it's tight right at the beginning, no, don't force it. And that cold water is going up to feed the hot water tank, and that's going to feed the hot water tank, and the red one's coming back from the water tank, and there'll be a third 3/4 inch blue right here. This will go to the main water line that comes into the house. So we're going to splice that right in here. And if you can, always get the little white ring there. Get the ones that have the stops on them. Meaning there's a little ridge that you can't push it all the way completely over the pipe, because that little ridge will stop it. That's called the stop. So you want the ones with the stops. Here we have, here's the PEX pipe. This is how it comes in a bundle. And if you've seen the beginning of this video, there was a part where I was working with the PEX pipe, and I was explaining why we keep it in the wrapper. So all we want to do is open it up. The directions actually right there to tell you. We just want to open it up, and we just want to find the end, one end, and start pulling it from that end. And we use it from the bundle. As we need it, we pull it out. I've made the mistake before, is where when I opened the whole bundle and just let it all out. And that really kind of made a mess. I mean, I worked with it. It wasn't really bad, but I mean, this makes it a lot easier if you just keep it wrapped up. Okay, now we've got some new PEX pipe. We're going to get our main line tied in right here. The main line from the outside faucet, just outside the brick wall to here, and this is going to feed into this system right here. And again, I wouldn't recommend trying to use this expander tool on any other PEX pipe other than PEX pipe that's made by Ubonor. And again, Ubonor, Wurzbo are the same product. And you see on the end of the galvanized pipe, I have a PEX transition fitting from galvanized to or iron pipe to PEX pipe. And here we are back on the outside. Give you an idea. We're going to take that insulation. We're going to wrap it up a little tighter later. Now we're here back into the. This is the hall bathroom on the east side of the house. And just as we done with the kitchen and the master bedroom, we anchored down our wing 90s, and we're just going to run our PEX pipe straight to it. Again, blue on the right, red on the left, hot, red, blue, cold. And we're going to stretch that blue in a little bit more so we can get that little wave out of there. But At the same time, we're still going to keep some slack in there so that we can have room for expanding and contracting.
Okay. Talk. You gotta be kidding. Pex.
And you can see how I have the galvanized pipe anchored down so that when I'm on the outside working on it, I can move it around without worried about damaging anything inside. And here my son's giving me a hand. We're kind of making the pipe a little neat, clamping them together as they go for the long run across
No, you good.
from the hall bathroom all the way over to the garage area. And again, once this system is in use, and also with the heat in the attic, these pipes will relax and they will set in place, and they won't be all bunched up, sticking up in the air like they are now. And those are the pipes going over to the master bathroom. Here's the remember back at that backing, I told you we chopped that piece of wood out. We did. And this is all it takes to connect the tub and shower valve up, and that's it. And that right there is going to be the toilet, and the toilet pipe is usually 6 inches from the ground up to the center of the pipe. And this is going to be the bathroom sink. And This is the hall, the bathroom in the hallway, the shower, tub and shower valve. Again, my name's Claude Taylor, and thank you for joining me on my journey of plumbing. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and become a subscriber and watch weekly uploads. Thank you.